Our next speaker is Sarah Fahden, and she's from DHS. She's going to talk to us about the USCIS verification program. This program was the winner of the 2017 overall Igniting Innovation Award, and it was recently highlighted in the President's management agenda. Let's welcome Sarah Fahden.
So I may have missed the mark a little bit because I didn't bring any slides. I figured I can probably talk for 10 minutes really easily without slides. And I wasn't planning on talking about E-Verify to the extent of what the program is. I think most of you probably already know that. But what I will say is that we started modernizing E-Verify and the SAVE applications less than 3 years ago. And this year, we'll be telling DHS that we're done 2 years early, which is, I think, a pretty big accomplishment and probably doesn't happen that often in the federal government. When we started this project 3 years ago, it was a really difficult thing to undertake. We had a very complex legacy application in the data center that had a lot of outages related to we didn't know what. We called it the Bigfoot outages. And had very complex logic in the database. That's where the application layer pretty much was, and it was just super complex. How are we going to go about modernizing this application? And so we decided that we would take a strangler approach and rip off pieces of it, microservices that we built in the cloud, connecting back to the database that was in the data center. Eventually, we moved the legacy application as well to the cloud, and now 3 weeks ago, we went live with our E-Verify case processing modernized application piece, and we have reduced our manual cases by around 80%, more than 80%. And so that is just one of the many accomplishments that we've had on this program. As a part of that, we built a person-centric service, all in the cloud, all on modern open source technologies for the most part. That system alone took in originally around 835 million records, and then we deduped and resolved those entities so that we could have a cleaner data set and to check against. And so that drastically improved the accuracy, allowing us to reduce the cases that were going to manual. There were many teams that partnered on this project, 4 to be exact, including Excella, which is one of our partners that managed all of the modernization work, Veriq that managed the legacy system, and several others. And I will say that it was nothing short of composing a technical symphony. We all have had to work very hand in hand together as one collaborative team, and that has been challenging, although my bosses seem to think it's easy, because I probably don't explain it in enough description what we're really doing and how hard that really is. About a year ago or 2 years ago, my brother said to me one time, and he's in Silicon Valley, although in a different field, I was telling him about all the exciting stuff that we were doing, and he says, "Oh, well, that's great. I'm so glad to hear that government is finally coming up to speed with industry." And I got really upset about that. And I went home and I had to sleep on that for about a week until I got my comeback, which is really slow for me, if you know anything about me. And I came back to him and I said, you know, that's not really fair, because the government, what we're doing is modernizing an application that is a legacy application that has, 20 million plus users, and we're trying to modernize it while the bus is still in motion. We're changing those wheels on the bus while it's still in motion, keeping it live and changing pieces of it in a very rapid way while it's still in motion. Most of those companies in Silicon Valley, they're building something from scratch, which is really easy to do when you don't have to deal with all of your customers and interfaces that are also on legacy apps as well. And so that was my response to him, which I felt much better about. I don't think industry understands how hard our job really is. We had a lot of people come over from the White House team. I forgot what they're called. And they had a lot of great suggestions and talked to us about a lot of great tech. But one challenge there is always, understanding these legacy applications and how the government works in general. People ask me a lot of times, they're like, how do you move things so quickly in the government, Sarah? And I tell them persistence and resilience. I just keep moving forward. And when people come in my way or when I get roadblocks, you move around them, you move over them, you move under them, you move to the side of them, whatever it takes to just keep moving. But it does take an exceptional amount of resilience from everybody on the team. Our team is very collaborative, and this couldn't have been possible without each and every single person on the team. When I say we're composing a technical symphony, it's with the best and most brilliant technicians. The way that we award contracts, which I know a lot of you want to talk to me about, and I'll just tell everybody at once, because this makes it easy, that nobody's in mind for anything. Come to the tech challenge, send in your proposals, and may the best man win with the best technical experts to do it. And that's our expectation, and that's how we award contracts, based on technical capabilities, not based on how well you write something or how well you talk to me about what you can do. Show me what you can do. That's what we care about. We care about you bringing the best and the brightest and showing us. So just before, so that nobody has to come ask me that question again, because I know you're going to ask me. What else? This year, like I said, we released PCS 3 weeks ago, and we reduced those manual cases significantly. We have a lot of other really cool things that we're going to do. Being in the cloud is such an amazing thing for us because it just allows us to move so quickly. I went to a lunch yesterday, and somebody talked about how it takes a year to get a server purchased, installed, racked and stacked, all of that stuff, and I thought, well, it takes us about 30 seconds to push the button and spin up a server. Everything that we've built is fully automated, so we're not dealing with some of the issues that I think other organizations are dealing with. Those are things that we dealt with 5 years ago. So for example, yesterday in the lunch that I went to, people were talking about patching, and they're, how do we identify first what we have in our boundary, and then how do we ensure that they're properly patched? And I said, well, our biggest problem was we realized that after we built a microservice that we were no longer deploying to, well, we better set up automatic deployments anyways so that it could pull down the latest patches automatically. And that was something we didn't think of. So all of our patches come down and are automatically installed upon deployment to our microservices every time we deploy. So it's just a different mindset. And when people tell me that the cloud is less secure than the data center, that would be one of my first and foremost arguments, which is that actually, I would say that you can be far more secure in the cloud than you can in the data center, and that you can react and respond to incidents far faster in the data center in the cloud than you can in the data center. And so that was like a key thing and a light bulb for me, and I try to share that with anybody and everybody that will listen to it, because I still hear this resistance. I'm excited to come here today because I'm excited about others innovating and letting that sort of spread like wildfire. I'm happy to pass on the baton to whoever wins today. It's exciting to see the government wanting to innovate and wanting to make those moves towards innovation and doing cool things. And we're happy to share. We're happy to share code. We're happy to share lessons learned with anybody that is interested in learning more about what we've done and how we've done it. I would still say the answer is persistence and resilience, because there's going to be a lot of challenges and roadblocks, and you just got to keep pushing through them and not get defeated when it happens. So that's it. Thanks.